Are we ready? No one's here. Welcome to the Pour Me a Story podcast. I am Debbie DeFrancesco, and I am sitting by myself, and I am trying something different today. I'm talking to myself. I was going to not drink because I felt like drinking by myself might be a little depressing, but it got dark out and I don't have to pick up any children. So I thought maybe I would have a Cutwater. I'm kind of obsessed with this brand. I am drinking the Cutwater Mule today. Wait, there it goes. Crack it open. Cheers. It definitely feels different to have a conversation on this couch by myself because I've built the studio truly to be very, open for guests and whatnot. And also looking directly into the camera is always a little unnerving for me. And I will be looking down because I have my notebook and I have everything. And kind of what I miss about having a studio where we did not record our every movement is that I did not have to go on camera and I could cheat, if you will. But, I thought I'd be talking, grab the mic a little bit today to maybe like air my grievances. I guess maybe not grievances, annoyances, letdowns, disappointments, like all of the above. I definitely haven't been myself lately. And I actually wanted to throw that out there because as somebody who's incredibly positive and I know I bring a lot of energy into the room, lately I am like up in my fucking feelings. And instead of embracing the pivot, like Kim Miles said a few episodes ago, when things change, you just kind of embrace and you do. I am wallowing in my own misdirection and like my own, like what am I fucking doing? Like I'm exhausting. I've actually heard that before. But I'm exhausted. I'm basically actually exhausting myself, fueling the beast of this melancholy fool as opposed to feeding my soul with the things that I know would help me and make me feel better. Sometimes we get in that vicious cycle and it's really hard to get yourself out of that. You know what I mean? Like we put ourselves there. We don't do the things we know to make us feel better. We don't work out. We don't eat healthy. We don't write. Oh, I don't know. And truly like my issue right now is motivation, creation, procrastination. Yes, I do laugh at my own jokes, so suck it. And I am like, as I'm seeing this, I can see myself on video, which is very distracting. But I do love, this is a new sweater. I'm a little obsessed with it. My husband told me it looks like 1985 called, but I'm here for it. But honestly, as I look down at my trusty notebook again, this lack of motivation and creative energy and procrastination, like I said, I'm stepping outside myself a little bit and it feels really, really uncomfortable. And I don't like being here. I don't usually struggle with this either. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm somebody who gets shit done. I'm somebody who, wants to do her third podcast and builds it and does it. I don't understand what's happening. Maybe this is a menopause thing, which we will get into talking about menopause. Don't get me wrong, because oh my God, I can't even with everything that's happening in my body right now. It's like, what was that like famous line in Twilight? Yes, I'm quoting Twilight. It said, your mood swings are giving me whiplash. Like I'm giving myself whiplash. I'm doing it to myself. And I'm very moody and I'm not typically that person. But anyway, I've been feeling beat up and I've created content since 2011 and in the bridal space. And I was really obsessed with trying to change the bridal industry. Well, not really the industry. It was mostly just the brides and their attitudes and their shitty behavior being celebrated and glorified. So I started Bitchless Bride because I was truly on this mission. That was my blog and podcast, in case this is your first time listening to Pour Me a Story. But that was I've had two podcasts before and that was my first one. That was also like my first blog. In 2011, I started writing and all about weddings and, hopefully trying to better the world of, these entitled brides who make you don't want to attend their wedding or plan their wedding or any part of it. So I was on this mission, and I had a few connections in Hollywood. And I was determined to create a show about how good behavior gets you so much further with your vendors and your friends and your family, rather than the bullshit Zilla behavior it does. And I was turned down like several times. Like, you don't know, like, I got turned down more than I ever did in high school, and that was a lot too. So it was difficult, but it was interesting because it was like the more connections I made, and the more at the networks, at the production companies, and everywhere in between, the more no's I heard. So it's not that I wasn't like thick-skinned. Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip. Hold on, she needs a sip. I'm like shaking this around, just spilling it in my lap. Hold on. God, it's really good. Anyway, but it was funny. So as I was prepping for this mini micro episode, I went into kind of like, I was looking for something that would make me feel something again. And Bitchless Bride was my heart and soul. And I started her, I had a baby and couldn't work the crazy hours I was working at a hotel, on property, whatever it might be. And I started my own business, and I was feeling really lonely, but I also was feeling very much like I needed some sort of like a journal, like writing about my industry and how difficult and awesome and all of the emotions. And it was very cathartic for me. So I started Bitchless Bride. And it was awesome, and it kind of took off. And then, I was thinking about all of this, and I started going through like my old blog posts, and then I came across my video posts before vlogs and doing this, like recording yourself on camera was a thing. I had fake hot pink hair wig because when I did Bitchless Bride, I was incognito because I was working with real clients, and I didn't want them to know I was talking shit about them. So I basically wore a hot pink wig, did something with my voice and had it altered, sunglasses. And I kind of said how it was as far as the bridal world. Like, basically Bitchless Bride was don't be a bitch while planning your wedding. So I saw all of those. But what I was reminded of today when I was going through all of this was really like my hustle. Like, God, I was a hustler. I legit left a message. Like, I'm looking at my notes, all right, telling it myself, but I legit left a message, like old school, left a voicemail for a VP at Lifetime Network. And she called me back. I about fell over. And then I asked her, I'm like, why are you calling me back? Because I had to know. And she said, I can't remember the last time somebody left me a voicemail instead of filled my inbox. So I felt like the right thing to do was to call you back and see what you were all about. And I'm like, I actually thought that was kind of cool. Like, she definitely called me back, and she ultimately turned my ideas down too. But I think I needed to like get back in touch with what that hustle was. Like, the connections I made were hitting the pavement, essentially, like old school hitting the pavement. It's the kind of hustle that like burned in my soul. And I met a lot of really good people, a lot of really cool people. But I really need to get back in touch with that hustle because it's kind of become like this slow burn instead of a rager. And I'm like, I think I need to start that fire again. So when I started jotting down these ideas, this is the stuff I was looking through, and I went through my archives, and like 4 fucking hours go by. And I was like, oh my God, it's dark. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So I started writing everything down, and I had this feeling, and I felt motivated, and I put my hands to my computer, and I just started typing away, and God, it felt great. It really, really felt great. And so, and I know I'm cheesy, and, I really take a step back and see how far I've come with the podcasting. I had Bitchless Bride, then I had I'm Not Sorry with Carrie Tabaski, who's actually going to be a guest on Pour Me a Story soon. And we had a ball. We had so much fun. And again, another moment of time of the hustle. And it's not like I haven't hustled for Pour Me a Story. I've hired a PR company who's helping me do some of the social media. I write a lot. I introduce myself, and I meet people, and I do all the things. But I don't know. I don't know where that little fire went. But I was feeling sorry for myself. And instead of staying in that space, I decided I should really just go do something about it as opposed to, wallow in it. But yeah, so sometimes, I have to be reminded who the hell I am and who the hell I was, and go out and go do the thing. So that's what that's what I've been doing. And like I said, I mentioned this in my third podcast, and mostly because I have a tendency to repeat myself. At least that's what my husband says, and my kids too. But probably just because it's a reminder to keep going, because I love it. Like, I mean, the camera, this is daunting. I'm not good at this part. And like I said before, like, it's not because I don't care how I look. I'm a woman of a certain age, so I've gotten past all that. Plus, I just lost a shit ton of weight, so it's not even the weight thing. You know, as a woman, I'm probably gonna find it, like, look at this and be like, my hair looks frizzy and I got some wrinkles and whatever the hell. I'm gonna pick myself apart anyway, no matter what's ideal or what's not. But the camera has been daunting, because when I've been in a studio and I've been recording other podcasts and there was no video attached to this, it just felt more natural to me just to like get behind a mic, put on the headphones, and all the feelings just came out, and all the questions and the vibe, and literally something shifted in me. But just knowing the camera's out there, and, you know, and then speaking to some of the experts in the podcasting field, and it's just taken such a turn because people want to watch now. And I get it. You want to see who's behind the mic. I 100% get it. I do it. So I totally get it. But that's daunting to me, because you can't hide behind the notebook. You can't, I mean, not that you can, but people see you doing that, which, you know, is typically frowned upon. But I'm not ashamed to say that I'm organized, and I would like to, you know, I'm a kitty cat. I have all these tabs open, and I need to keep myself grounded, and that's what the notes do. But, you know, I think the interesting thing is, you know, I talked to a lot of experts around the video and the reels and all the things I'm supposed to be doing on YouTube. And it's not that I don't want to, or that I don't know how to. It's just, it's so gimmicky. And I don't know if I can be that person. I'm really, really looking inward to try and change that. To, you know, obviously I want as many people as possible to hear this and to listen to this and to watch it, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me. But I don't want to have to stoop to certain levels to do the things that, you know, get people to listen to, you know, by feeling like I'm a big ad. So anyway, that's, I think, been some of the stuff that I've been struggling with. And I just wanted to be 1,000% honest. I do have a great lineup coming up. Like I said, Carrie Tabasky's coming up. I have Kelly McFarlane. I have a friend over in New York who is planning her wedding. She's a fellow writer. I'll tell you where she's from a little bit later. So I have all these wonderful things coming up. But just from an honesty standpoint, I thought I might share that, you know, I think it's okay to struggle with a little bit of, you know, lack of motivation and lack of, you know, wanting to do the things even though you love them, and just kind of admitting it. So I'm doing this micro episode because I felt like I just needed a little bit of a therapy session, and maybe I can give that to you. If you're struggling too, my suggestion would be to go back and find the things that you did where you're like, oh my God, I fucking did that. I did that. I know I can do that. And like I said, it sounds cheesy as hell, but that's kind of what I've been doing over the past few days, and got really caught up in it today. But, you know, go back and do those things and remind yourself who you are. And God, it changed me. So moving forward, I'm just going to get out of my own way. I'm also going to see a hormone specialist for menopause, because that could also be part of my problem. But in the meantime, if you resonate with all the shit I'm saying, with the guests I've had, if you haven't listened, go to Pour Me a Story. You can find me at pourmeastorypod.com. You can see that's my website. pourmeastory.podcast on Instagram, Pour Me a Story podcast on Facebook. You know, we're on the socials and all that fun stuff. Like I said, I'm an old lady trying to do new tricks, and it's not easy. That's why I hired people to help me. But that's all I got. Thank you for listening, and be sure to tune in next week when I have somebody sitting next to me and I'm not drinking by myself.